Today at the Bridge is brought to you by...
The unexpected!
Oh, gosh.
I couldn't tell you about that or it wouldn't have been unexpected.
Well, hello, interwebs. We are back again, and Tim did not tell me.
I just scared Zach.
Did not know he was going to do it.
It was nice.
And it's early, so
good morning.
Good morning.
Every time I say good morning, I just want to sing the song from Brad, Jack, and Benny. What is it? VeggieTales?
I don't know.
You know, good morning, George. How are you?
When I hear it, I think
hope
so.
You're feeling fine.
LG on one of their phones a couple years ago had like a morning wake up tone, and it was like a song for good morning. It was like good morning.
That is so creepy.
It was super creepy. If you ever want to find that, go look for LG's good morning tone for a ringtone, and you wake up to that, and you will it'll brighten your day.
You know what's even better? I'm just gonna do a little shout out. We're not being paid to do this.
Never.
I guess I have to.
No one pays us. It's okay.
Einstein Brothers Bagels has an app.
Okay.
Are you aware of this?
No.
Einstein Brothers Bagels has an app, and they have different ringtones that you can download from the app to set as your good morning alarm.
Is it like a bagel slicing?
No, it's like you can hear like bacon sizzling, and then some dude that sounds like George Costanza comes in from the background going, "Start your day the right way with an Einstein Bagels breakfast sandwich." And it's so, I don't know.
That is the most brilliant marketing scheme, though, when it comes to, every morning you wake up and you're told, hey, go buy it from Einstein Bagels.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even that is liminal messaging.
Yeah. It's not even subliminal, it's liminal.
That is liminal.
Liminal
and then,
messaging.
one is, you hear coffee pouring and, sizzling, and you're like, a great way to start your day was with a hot cup of joe from Einstein Brothers Bagels. So, if you're watching this and you like to hear the sweet, delicious sizzling sound of bacons,
or the slow brew of coffee,
or a guy, George Costanza is probably not. It's probably not George Costanza.
Could be.
If you want to hear an average American male wake you up,
Einstein Bagels.
Einstein Bagels app.
Einstein Brothers Bagels.
Einstein Brothers.
Best.
Yeah. Well, no.
Whatever. I don't know what it's called.
I hate it.
I hate.
Actually, the Einstein
that's how
Bagels
we know
is really dirty.
That's how you know they don't pay us.
Yeah. I don't. I went to the one in Texas I went to was awesome, but the one around here I went to was all weird. And when you walk in the front door, the way that the way they laid their store, when you walk in the front door, you can walk right into the kitchen. It was so strange. I hate it's. Ugh. Anyway,
so we're gonna get into our conversation here. So 2 weeks ago, Aaron started a series called Unexpected, which is actually just a look at the book of Matthew, the first 8 chapters of Matthew that we're going through, and we called it Unexpected because we had a brainstorm meeting where we were talking about what are we going to have the sermon series be about, and we started talking about Jesus and how when Matthew is writing the Gospel of Matthew, he wrote it in a way that was just not what people were thinking Jesus would be. We're like, man, it's so unexpected. And then we're just we went with the idea and we rolled with it and we talked it out and we're like, this is going to be, I think this is good because of the way that God interacts with our world. It's always unexpected. And so we thought today it'd be fun. We're going to just tell some stories about ourselves, our lives, and ways that God's worked unexpectedly for us, just to kind of tie into the series a little bit. So one thing, for instance, like I said, it's really early for us this morning, and you know what? I'll go into that. I'll tell my story about why we're here this early. I won't say how early it is, because some of you might be like, that's not early because you were one of the people.
We don't want to be early shamed.
Exactly. We don't want, listen, we know some of you guys get up at 3 a.m. and you go for a 5-mile jog and then a 10-mile bike ride and then you lift weights because you're awesome.
And then you walk to the next state to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're not you. No. Okay. We are people who experience tiredness. So recently, part of the reason why we're having the delay, because 2 weeks ago we started the series, we didn't have one last week on these videos, was that I recently, for my other job, we had some layoffs occur. So in that job, I had flexibility where I was able to do some things here throughout the week at different times where it worked out. We're able to do things, and it wasn't like, hey, get here at 6 a.m. so we can record things, kind of stuff. And so they had some layoffs occur there, and so I ended up losing my job, which was
sad,
unexpected.
Yeah.
Right, because it was one of those things where no one ever goes into their year being like, you know what, this year I really want to just not have a job for a bit.
Yeah.
Especially because I had the same thing happen to me last year. It's never a fun experience to go 2 years in a row with being surplus from your job.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the crazy thing, and this has happened in my life for me and my wife, which actually, if you want to hear more about me and my wife, check out this Friday, our podcast, where Tim and I have talked about our experience getting to know our wives and how we met. You'll enjoy it, I promise. It was a good time. But we've noticed, though, is that God has always been supporting us along the way. Like if you listen to my interview with Tim from a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago now, we talked about how we, like, after college, we moved to Kansas, and we felt God calling us to that, but then it didn't work out well, and that was unexpected. And then we moved back here, and moving back and changing jobs was always unexpected. And then, we having my wife's health issues, we had some issues with her health recently that we had to deal with. That's unexpected. And then we've had, in the past 2 years, I've been surplus twice from 2 different companies, which is unexpected.
That's insane.
But the crazy thing in every single one of those circumstances, God has always proven himself to be faithful. And so both times that I was surplus, before I even received any kind of severance package, I was able to find a new career or a new company to work with, doing actually very similar things each time. So I have my companies have changed. The third company I worked with in 3 years, but the actual job I've been doing is the same.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which is great. I mean,
it doesn't happen for a lot of people.
It doesn't happen, right? And also in that, I haven't had to take any, because generally that kind of happens. You have to take deduction in pay to be able to find your next job, because you're at a very low bargaining space when you're like, oh, you're unemployed. You need to. They're going to use it against you. But God's worked it out in my favor, where each time it's happened, the next career has always been like a bump up. Where he's provided more for us, and he's provided opportunities for us, and he's provided things like being able to come here and work part time at the church as well. In that where we've been able to spend some time to doing more things that because honestly we have the job that I work, my regular 9-to-5 job, and we have this part time job here, and I've always wanted to be involved in the church and working in ministry, and being part of this has been great. And because of all the things that God's been doing, we've been able to do this as well, which has been unexpected, and it's been incredibly amazing to see the way that God works. And when like Aaron talks about how on Sunday about like the things that God speaks to you in, because like you have to listen for God's voice. Yeah. Right? It's the past message, and one of the ways was circumstances and like themes of your life. And I think one of the themes in my life, and that it's a hard lesson, and I don't think I've fully learned it, and I think I never will fully learn this lesson, is that God is going to take care of me, right? Like, and it's hard to trust that, because when you're in the situation and like, man, you're married. You've married for nothing about last year. Married for almost 8 years, and you have 2 kids, and your wife's pregnant, and you lose a job. It's like, well, that's scary. And then like the next year, you're doing all this stuff, and like, yo, man, now we have 3 kids, and my wife's health hasn't been that great, and we have to get some mold in our house, and then lose a job again. And you're like, well, this is not great. But then you're like, God has always been faithful and good to us, and that's a theme that I think when that God speaks into our lives is that, hey, I love you, I care for you. You don't need to know what's going to happen. You just need to know that I am going to care for you, and I think that's been awesome for us.
That's really cool. I like sharing my stories, what God's done, because it's fun. Right. But it's also like when you hear somebody else's, like, your story's nuts.
Yeah, no one wants. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, but it's just been cool to see how God's been working in your life. So I have a time specifically that God really, like stepped in and did something really, really cool. Me and Liz had been dating long distance for a really long time. It's
always rough. Yeah.
It was like dating long distance is hard, and so we met in high school, and then we went to college.
Which again, on Friday to the podcast, so more
right?
About,
yeah, it's a spoiler alert, I guess.
Spoilers.
But we did long distance for a while, and it finally got to a point where she kind of, because I'd also stopped going to college. I just, it wasn't working for me at that time. And she said, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm working at Walmart distribution, which, I mean, that's a great job if you can get it.
Okay.
Because they started me. I was an 18-year-old kid that had no experience. After working there for 6 months, I was making $21 an hour.
Holy. Yeah, that's.
It was nuts. Like, I couldn't believe it. And then I'd get overtime frequently. It was insanity. So, I was like, well, I'm working at, I'm working at Walmart. And she said, well, you can work at Walmart down here. Like, why don't you just, like, if you're just working, you can find something down here. And she was right. And it was getting to the point where, like, Walmart, it was hard on your body because you'd have to move by hand about 2,000 pounds of freight.
Oh, wow.
An hour. So, like,
you
pick up a case of 2 liters and then pick up a case of bleach and then pick up a case of water and
right.
There's these, you knew what was in each aisle as you were going through the warehouse, and you'd get one that started with cans.
Okay.
And you're just like, you just soup. There'd be 2 7-foot tall pallets of soup cans that you hand stacked. So your fingers would hurt and your back would hurt and your arms would hurt. Right. And it was just, so I was like,
they paid good, so it's all right.
Yeah, but desk job would be good. So I started, like, I put in applications in March, and then I started April. I still remember my start date because it was a mess to get down there. I started April 5th.
Oh, wow.
Like, I wanted to be near Liz. I wanted a career. And I got hired by Bank of America to start like April 5th, and it was nuts how quick that happened. And then right after I moved down here, knowing that I was making significant, I think I took like a 50% pay cut.
Oh, wow.
To come down here, and I didn't know where I was going to live, so I shacked up with my grandparents for a little while, and then this guy at church graciously offered to like rent me a room for pennies.
Good for that's so nice.
It was just like it all stacked up. And it was so unexpected how all that worked out. God does really unexpected things in our lives, and I think that's the thing that Aaron really wanted.
Yeah, and
to put out.
Yeah, and you have to notice it, to recognize it. Like, you have to recognize, like, it's. I think we have a tendency sometimes to be like, it's unexpected. No, that's a coincidence, right? Like, we downplay, not offplay. We downplay God's work in our lives and like the good He's trying to do for us. Like, we say things like, we know that God works together all things for good for those who are called according to His purpose.
Yeah.
But then, like, when good things happen, we're like, well, that was lucky.
Yeah.
Like, we don't like take time to be like, no, we have an unexpected God who came as the King of Kings, but was born in a manger, and who lived a perfect life, but was murdered as a criminal.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta like remember, like, that's like Jesus was unexpected because God's unexpected. Like, and God works in unexpected ways. Like, you read the Bible, like, there's pillars of fire and clouds of smoke that move and guide people. There's donkeys that talk. There's storms that get stopped because Jesus says stop. Like these are not things you would expect, but that's who God is. Mm-hmm. And He's still that way today. Like that, like God still works in our world. And He still speaks, and He still does unexpected things. And it's really on us to recognize it, and to spend time with Him.
Something I would challenge you guys that are watching to do with your families or with your spouse or your girlfriend or whoever. Next time you sit with them for dinner, ask them, like, what has God done in your life today? And they're probably nothing, but I mean, God does things in our life
every day,
like all the time. Every day, just you're running late for work, and that there's street parking when there's never street parking. That, I mean, God orchestrates all things for our good. fill in the blank. It's hard. Like there's so many different things that, that God could be doing.
So
even from like Liz was stuck on a on a toll road. We needed 50 cents. She had a $20 bill, but it was exact change only. So in me, I would have just like run. Like I'll pay the $25 fine. Like it's inconvenient. Well, she stopped and she was like trying to find change, and this lady pulled up and was like, "Do you need 50 cents? Here's 50 cents." And then like we just it was nuts. Like God does all things for our good. So talk to your family about that, but also personally make a habit of today God did for me, and list stuff that you even think is quaint, because when you realize how big God is in your life, I mean it's nuts. And it's easier to worship him. I mean, because it's hard to worship someone that doesn't do anything.
Right.
But we know God does something. We just need to recognize it, and I think that'll make our worship life a lot better.
Absolutely. So, hey, do us this. In the comments below, tell us your experience. Tell us about the time that God did something unexpected in your life, and he worked things together for your good and for your benefit. We'd love to hear your stories, hear what's going on. We guys want to thank you for watching our video. Yeah. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and click the top link over there. If you want to go see, what did I just say? Let me start that over again. If you want to see, the sermon from Sunday, click the top link over there. If you want to see more videos like this one, click on the bottom link. That's right over there. And of course, be sure to subscribe and share with friends and family. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.